The sweet, colorful flakes sitting in your pantry began as a radical medical intervention, specifically formulated to suppress what the 19th century medical establishment considered sinful carnal urges. You probably grew up hearing that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. That phrase was entirely fabricated in a 1944 marketing campaign by a cereal manufacturer looking to increase product turnover. When you toss one of those bright boxes into your grocery cart, you are buying into a century of psychological manipulation and the biology of addiction. Your pantry is currently stocked with the highly engineered remnants of a 100-year experiment in corporate psychology and physiological engineering. Our story starts in Michigan during the late 19th century at the sprawling Battle Creek Sanitarium, a massive medical facility dedicated to curing the ailments of the American elite. The chief physician was Dr. John Harvey Kellogg. He believed the heavy, meat-centric American diets of the time were violently exciting carnal passions, fueling what he viewed as a deadly scourge of masturbation, causing everything from acne to insanity. To cool his patients' blood, Kellogg prescribed a shockingly bland diet. After accidentally leaving cooked wheat to ferment, he rolled it out into thin, crispy flakes, intentionally serving them without sugar or seasoning to suppress base human instincts. For patients whose urges weren't quelled by plain flakes, Kellogg applied carbolic acid to female anatomy and circumcised young boys without anesthesia. He believed the resulting trauma would deter any sinful habits. John Harvey Kellogg engineered the breakfast flake as a clinical anaphrodisiac, intended to enforce moral purity through a form of dietary trauma. One of Kellogg's patients, C.W. Post, worked in the sanitarium kitchen to pay his medical bills. He quietly stole Kellogg's flake recipe and used it to launch a massive commercial empire. Post marketed his grape nuts with wild, unregulated claims. He told the public his cereal could tighten loose teeth and even cure malaria and consumption. As the cereal industry grew, it abandoned medical ethics in favor of corporate espionage and dark science. By 1946, the Quaker Oats Company partnered with MIT and Harvard to perform secret human experiments. Researchers lured mentally disabled boys at the Fernald State School into a science club with promises of Mickey Mouse watches and trips to baseball games. The boys were unknowingly fed radioactive iron and calcium tracers, so Quaker could prove its oats absorbed nutrients better than its rivals. These companies scaled their empires by weaponizing deceit and exploiting vulnerable populations to secure dominance in the supermarket. This culture of deception trickled down to the mascots on the boxes. Captain Crunch's name is Horatio Magellan Crunch. For 60 years, he wore the three-striped uniform of a naval commander, entirely misrepresenting his titular rank. Behind the cartoons, the industry used its wealth to buy scientific authority. In 1967, the Sugar Research Foundation paid 3 Harvard scientists the equivalent of $50,000 to rig a medical review called Project 226. This bribe successfully steered the medical conversation away from the dangers of sugar, creating a foundation of dietary advice that demonized fat while the industry added sugar to nearly everything on the shelf. With the science rigged, manufacturers turned to psychological engineering. Researchers at Cornell analyzed how the layout of grocery stores creates a highly calculated optical trap. Cereal mascots are engineered to look downward at a precise 9.6-degree angle. This allows them to make direct eye contact with a child standing in the grocery aisle, bypassing Terrence to build a biological bond with the child's brain. The cereal aisle is a highly weaponized optical environment designed to create trust through predatory sightlines and psychological cues. The commercial turn happened when Will Keith Kellogg defied his brother's moral outrage by adding sugar to the flakes to make them palatable for the general public. By the 1950s, the industry abandoned its adult focus to target sugar-craving children through television and Saturday morning cartoons. This bar chart shows the sugar content of popular snacks. A single serving of Kellogg's Honey Smacks is 56% sugar by weight, packing more sugar than a Hostess Twinkie. Manufacturers use health-based claims to mask this reality. They strip grains of their natural nutrients, pump them full of synthetic vitamins, and use deceptive whole grain labels to distract from ingredient lists dominated by sugar. The cereal industry took a tool originally designed for moral purification and transformed it into an ultra-processed delivery system for sugar that contributes to modern epidemics of metabolic disease. The history of your breakfast moves from a Victorian crusade against sexual desire to the radioactive exploitation of children to the Harvard bribes and calculated cartoon gazes. The industry's greatest triumph was convincing the public that this multi-billion-dollar experiment is a harmless, crunchy way to start the morning. The box sitting in your kitchen right now is the quiet monument to this architectural deception. Look at your pantry right now. Which cereal is in your kitchen? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this look into the dark history of the supermarket, please leave a like and subscribe to Neuramyth. Share your suggestions for our next topic.